Good morning. Welcome again to another English class. Today, we're gonna continue working on your Spotlight on Literature book. There was one lesson that I accidentally skipped because we discussed about slangs Friday, and I did not work with any other class, euphemisms. And euphemisms is a very important topic for this unit and for this term in general. Because I liked it. I mean, it's a very entertaining and learningful topic. But before, I just don't have recollections if we have played this game before. I'm gonna show it to you, and you will tell me if we have or we haven't played it before. Because believe me, I do not recall. Do you remember, guys, if we have played at any point this game? Do you remember? It's about sketching things, drawing. No? Hello? Okay, if you don't say anything, it means that we have played it before and we don't need to play it today. Okay, so then, like I said, we have this topic called euphemisms. It's on page 92. Page 92 in your spotlights. You have the definitions of what euphemisms are, illustrating the concept or picture the concept, and some exercises to practice. But I have some information pre-recorded and I'm gonna share it with you. Give me 1 second.
For today's class, we are using the Spotlight on Literature book, and we're gonna turn it on page 92. The topic for the class is euphemisms. This lesson is very interesting, and let me tell you why. English speakers don't like to say certain words or expressions because they think that these words may be offensive, dirty, or somehow embarrassing. This is a cultural thing, and remember that culture plays a great role in English language. They substitute these so-called dirty expressions for ones that are more suitable or more polite, and they are called euphemisms. I bet that you know what a euphemism is because you work on literature, Spanish literature class, and I have a definition for you to have it clearer in English as well. Is the substitution of an agreeable or inoffensive expression for one that may offend or suggest something unpleasant, embarrassing, or upsetting. Okay, on page 92 in your books, you have more examples. In one box, you have the words that might be heavy, and on the other one, you have the euphemism. You don't say kill, you say eliminate. Instead of attack, you said preemptive strike. Instead of pregnant, you said she is expecting or she is with child. And instead of sue, you said take legal action. So then let's move to some practice on page 93 or 92. Practice the concept. So you have to match euphemism from A to H with their related idea in the box. We're gonna read the words in the box, which is prison, fat, gambling, dumb, drunk, used, died, and ghetto. And we're gonna match with the euphemisms from A to H. Gonna give you a couple of seconds to do it. Okay, instead of fat, you said fall figure. Instead of dumb, you said not the brightest crayon in the box. Died, you said lost their lights. Instead of said used, you said pre-owned. Instead of saying drunk, you said inebriated. Instead of say gambling, you say game of chance. You don't say ghetto, you said economically depressed neighborhood. And the last one, obviously, is the correctional facility. Instead of prison, you say correctional facility. Then we have more exercises. Exercise 2. Choose the expression that best describes the euphemisms. You have A. Dear John letter. B. To put something or someone to sleep. C. To be big boned. D. To be between jobs. And E. To be economical with the truth. Now again, I'm gonna give you some seconds so you can get the right answers. Okay, this exercise was easier than the previous one. A Dear John letter is a letter to someone you are ending a relationship with. When you don't want to face the facts and say, no, it's not you, it's me, and you just send a letter and you end the relation, you break up your relation with someone. Then B is to euthanize something or someone. To be big boned means to be fat. To be between jobs is to be unemployed. And finally, economical with the truth is to tell lies. Now it's time to watch a clip with more examples of the usage of euphemisms.
Today, I am going to talk to you about. Wait. I'll be right back. I just got to go number one. Hey everyone, my name is Wes, and yes, I'm back. I've returned. This is Interactive English, which is all about helping you practice and improve your English skills. And today I have a great lesson because I want to talk to you about euphemisms in English. And you might be wondering, you might be thinking, well, what is a euphemism? That is a great question. A euphemism is a phrase or an expression in English that is a little more pleasant. It's not offensive. And we use them because they take the place of something else that is perhaps offensive or unpleasant, or that's just not, maybe it's embarrassing. It's something that you don't want to hear. So instead of being direct and saying things that people might find rude, you would use a euphemism in its place so that you would sound more polite, or, they're also a bit amusing as well. You can have some fun with these phrases, which is why they are great to learn, and native speakers use them all the time. So this is perfect for developing your English fluency. So let's begin with business. And the first euphemism that I have for you is to let someone go. And if you let someone go, it's just another way of saying to fire someone. And when you talk about firing someone, that's a strong word. Nobody wants to hear that they're getting fired. So an employer might tell someone, sorry, but we're going to have to let you go. I don't want to tell you that you're fired because that's just going to sound a bit mean. So instead, I'm just going to say, gonna have to let you go. You may also hear the person who was fired use this expression as well. If you're having a conversation with your friends or your family and you don't want to tell them that you were fired, you would just say, I was let go. And personally, I think it's a bit more professional, because when you say that someone's fired, it makes me think perhaps, well, they were doing something wrong. They were stealing, perhaps they were fighting. But if you say that, I was let go, then it makes me think, well, it's business. It happens. It's a fact of life. From time to time, companies will let their employees go. So in that case, it makes me think that it's not really something that you did wrong. It just happened. The company had to let you go.
We're going through a real tough time financially, and we're gonna have to let you go.
And we are going to have to let you go. Hank, would you come up here, please? Hank is our security guard.
Oh,
He will be ushering you out.
And if a company lets you go, then another thing that you could tell people is that you are between jobs, which is the next euphemism that I want to talk to you about. So when somebody is between jobs, it's another way of saying that they are unemployed, that they're not working right now, they're looking for another job. So you tell somebody, well, I'm between jobs at the moment. I'm not working with my old employer. I have not found my new employer, so I am just between jobs. So in my opinion, I think it's better to say you're in between jobs, because the word unemployed may have a negative connotation. People might think you're a little lazy, or perhaps you don't want a job and you're not looking for one. And if that's not the case and you are looking for work, but you haven't found it yet, it's just better to say, I'm between jobs. Not working at my old job. I haven't found my new job. So right now I'm between those jobs. I'm between jobs.
Randall's in between jobs and court appearances.
Since Mitchell is between jobs, I've taken a part-time job at a greeting card store.
Now, just biz pro to biz pro. If you wait too long between jobs, you get stale.
Now let's switch from business to the bathroom, which is a natural transition to make. And the first euphemism that I have for you is I have to go number one. And if somebody says that they have to go number one, they're talking about peeing. They have to pee. So if number one means to pee, you can probably guess that number two is talking about pooping. And these are euphemisms you might use just to have fun, that you can have fun with these euphemisms. Somebody may even ask, if somebody says, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom, and the other person says, number one or number two? I don't know why many people might be asking that question. Perhaps they want to know how long it's going to take. And obviously, I think for the vast majority of us, takes longer to go number two. So if somebody's like, well, the train is leaving, but I got to run to the bathroom real quick, the person you're traveling with might ask, well, wait, number one or number two? You better hurry up, because we don't want to miss the train. Not sure if you caught on to that euphemism at the very beginning when I said, well, I have to go number one, and I left, and then I came back.
If you're going number one, you've got 10 more seconds.
I'm gonna go use the ladies' room.
Number one or number two?
Number none of your business.
To use the restroom.
I'm only asking this for your safety. Is it a number one or a number two? Your silence indicates number two.
When I get out of that bathroom, you better be gone.
Is it number one or number two? I just want to know how much time I have.
Now, instead of saying number two, you could also say do your business. To do your business, that means to poop. And I think this might be a little more of a polite way to say it. Maybe, I dare say, a more professional way to say that you have to poop. So if you are in a professional setting and you have to go to the bathroom and you actually, for some reason, you have to tell the other person what it is you have to do, instead of saying, I gotta poop, I'll be right back, which is a little more embarrassing, even though it's very direct. Just say, I got to do my business. Now, if you are a woman and you need to go to the bathroom or go to the toilet, you can tell someone, I have to go powder my nose. This is a euphemism that you might hear if you're watching a TV show or a movie and the woman is at a restaurant, maybe on a date, and they'd say, well, I'll be right back. I got to go powder my nose. It means that they are going to the toilet. Now, it doesn't tell us what they're going to do in the bathroom, doesn't give any information about number one, number two. It's just another way of saying that you need to go to the toilet. Even if it's just to wash your hands, you might say, well, I need to powder my nose. I don't know if this expression is still commonly used today. I would have to ask my wife, but it is something that you will hear when you're watching a movie or TV show, so try to listen for that next time. If a woman is out, especially like at a restaurant, and they need to go to the toilet, they might say, I need to powder my nose.
Drink up, Tom. I'm gonna go powder my nose.
No. Play nice boys while I go powder my nose.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom and powder my nose. You sit here and think of something to say.
Now let's talk a little bit about appearance. You may or may not know this, but the word fat in English, it is a bit offensive. And I would hear learners describe people from time to time, or even maybe they even talk about themselves and they would say, well, I'm fat, or he's fat, or she's fat. And again, it's not a very polite word in English. And I think there are many learners who are unaware of this. So keep that in mind. Don't describe somebody as being fat. One way you could do it if you want to use a euphemism is to say somebody is big boned. He's big boned, she's big boned. And again, I think it's more commonly used when you are describing other people. I think even more appropriately, somebody would use the word overweight. But you may hear this euphemism from time to time and somebody says, well, he's big boned or she's big boned. And that is just another way of saying fat, but not nearly as rude.
My family's big boned. It's genetic.
I'm just big boned.
Such thing.
I'm not fat. I'm big boned.
Why are you punishing yourself? Face it, you're a big bone girl. Bones don't tickle, Mom.
Keeping with appearances, the next euphemism I have for you is love handles. And if somebody is talking about another person's love handles, or maybe they're talking about their own love handles, they're referring to the excess fat that they have around their waistline. So it's just something that happens naturally, especially I think as people tend to get older, they start to develop these, these love handles on the side right here. Yes, I do have some love handles. And again, it's more of a fun way to talk about it and less offensive. Instead of saying, hey, you're getting fat around the waistline, you could just say, well, they're love handles. It sounds a lot nicer.
It's like love handle alert. He likes most about me is probably my love handles.
Don't you worry about cholesterol, lung cancer, love handles?
I don't worry about anything.
The next euphemism is make love. And I think this is probably a euphemism that many of you might already be familiar with. But if you're talking about making love to somebody, then you're talking about sex. Instead of saying have sex, you would say make love. And the reason that I think you would want to use make love instead is because it's more romantic. It's a little more meaningful. Because if you just say like have sex, it could just be something that's a little more carefree. It's not something that may be, as romantic. So if you're out on a date, you may want to think about that and not be too direct and say, hey, let's have sex. You could try to make it a little more meaningful, make it more important, make it a little more romantic. And you tell somebody, hey, I just want to make love to you. I want to make love. And who knows, perhaps that will work. Or it may not work and she'll look at you and say, I got to go powder my nose. And then she'll leave and never come back. So, you know, in all seriousness, I think this is a euphemism that you would use with somebody that you have been involved with for some time already. Maybe they're married, perhaps they're engaged, but they have a more intimate and romantic relationship. They may use this euphemism, make love, instead of just saying have sex.
It is not sex. You must not call it that.
What do I call it?
Making love.
Steve insists we turn the light off when we make love.
If you're doing it, I think you should be able to say it.
Make love.
The next euphemism is to lose your lunch. And if somebody loses their lunch, then that is just another way of saying that they are vomiting. They are throwing up, they're losing their lunch. And it just occurred to me, I don't know how we went from making love to losing one's lunch. I know it's a weird transition, but just bear with me, just go with it, okay? So if somebody is feeling sick and they think that they may vomit, then, you know, you could just say, oh, I think I'm gonna lose my lunch. I might lose my lunch. I might vomit, I might get sick. Then we have a great euphemism, which is not the sharpest tool in the shed. And this euphemism is used to describe a person who is not smart. Maybe this person is a bit of an idiot, but you don't want to say that because that's just mean. So you may refer to this person and say, yeah, you know, well, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. So it's kind of a fun way of putting it. And I don't think it's really more or less polite. It's just kind of having fun with it. And it just doesn't sound as mean either if you want to describe somebody in this way. And again, I don't think you would not want to say this to the person you're talking about. That is still going to be mean. But if you are just describing another person, then you could refer to them and say, yeah, you know, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's not that smart. He's an idiot.
And Craig, you saw him. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Sure, he may not be the sharpest tool in the shed.
Please, God, please. Open my heart. Send me a sign. Both know I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
Now let's talk about dying. And again, the word die, it's a strong word. It brings out these strong feelings and emotions. So instead of saying that somebody died, he died, or she died, I think overwhelmingly it's more common and a bit more polite to say someone passed away. And often you are going to use this in the past tense because it is something that already happened. He passed away last year. She passed away a few years ago. Somebody died, someone passed away.
My best friend, even though he wasn't so friendly.
What happened to him?
Passed away.
I'm sorry.
And Sylvia passed away.
He passed away recently. He was run over by an ice cream truck.
Now, if you want to be very informal, you can say that someone kicked the bucket. It means the same thing, that someone died. But this it's very informal. You want to be very careful when you use it. You don't want to use it when you're having any sort of serious conversation about someone dying. But to say someone kicked the bucket, it means they died. So you might hear it used in the context of somebody died a long time ago. The feelings, the emotions are not as fresh, and they might informally say, you know, well, yeah, this person, they kicked the bucket many years ago. Or maybe if they're talking about a pet or an animal, you may hear somebody say, you know, that their dog, their cat kicked the bucket. They died.
Guess who just kicked the bucket?
And what happened when he finally kicked the bucket?
I was so upset when he kicked the bucket. I had no choice but to drown my sorrows. When I woke up in the morning, it was gone.
If this is what they send when mom goes to jail, just imagine what happens when you kick the bucket.
All right, so I'm going to go powder my nose right now. Actually, well, I wouldn't say that because I'm not a woman, but I am going to go to the toilet. Number one, not number two. And I know that's probably not a pleasant picture to put in your mind. I don't want to make you lose your lunch. I actually just want to practice using these euphemisms so you can hear it as a bit of a refresher, because that's just going to help you understand their meaning. And I don't think it's a problem for you guys because I think you are the sharpest tools in the shed. You guys are smart. You're very intelligent. So I'm going to head out. I'm going to take my love handles with me. And if you enjoyed today's lesson, please hit that like button down below. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
After watching the clip, you have had the opportunity to see how common euphemisms are in the English language. Native speakers use it all the time in a very spontaneous and natural way. We have more examples. Actually, we have three, let's call them categories, in which we have grouped some euphemisms. The first type, or the first category, is to soften an expression. Some euphemisms are used in order to make a blunt or unpleasant truth seem less harms. And we have the examples for that category here. We have 16 euphemisms. The first one is passed away. You said that instead of died. Correctional facility instead of jail or prison. Departed instead of died. Differently able or physically challenged are used instead of handicapped or disabled. You never call someone disabled in the States, or at least not in a polite manner. 5. Fell off the back of a truck. That means stolen. Ethnic cleansing instead of genocide. Negative patient outcome instead of death. In number 8, we have relocation center instead of prison camp. In number 9, we have collateral damage instead of accidental death. Then we have letting someone go is instead of fire someone from their jobs. 11, it was in your books, to put to sleep, it's euthanize. 12 is pregnancy termination or abortion. You use pregnancy termination instead of say the word abortion. 13, on the streets instead of homeless. 14, creative differences. You use this one instead of problems among musicians, dancers, writers, actors, you name it, that make it difficult or impossible for them to work together. Then in number 15, we have the big C. You said the big C instead of cancer. And 16, you have casualties instead of victims or people killed or injured in wars and accidents. Then we have the second type, euphemisms to be polite. Other euphemisms are used to take the place of words or phrases you might not want to say in polite company. We have here 17 examples. The first one says adult entertainment. You use this one instead of saying pornography. Second, adult beverage instead of beer or liquor. The third one is family jewels. You use this one instead of testicles. 4, big boned, which was in your books, is for heavy, overweight, or fat. 5, comfort woman instead of prostitute. 6, you said on the game instead of prostitution. 7, it was also in your books, economical with the truth is instead of liar. 8, between jobs for unemployed. 9, that time of the month instead of menstruation. 10, go all the way instead of have sex. 11, domestic engineer instead of maid. 12, sanitation engineer instead of the garbage man. 13, vertically challenged instead of short. 14, the comfort stop instead of go to the toilet. 15, sleep together, another one for having sex. 16, getting on instead of old. And 17, exotic dancer instead of stripper. And finally, we have the third type, euphemisms to be impolite. Now it is the opposite. In some cases, euphemisms are intentionally a grosser or less pleasant way of saying something. These are usually used when people are being sarcastic or trying to make light of a serious subject or make it seem less serious, like a joke. For this one, we have 9 examples. The first one is batting for the other side. We use this expression instead of homosexual. Second, beat the big one is instead of death. Then number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, they are related to death. The third one is beat the farm. 4, cement shoes. 5, bite the dust. 6, croaked. 7, kicked the bucket. They are used instead of the word death. 8, blown chunks instead of vomited. And the last one is a funny one, number 9, friend of Dorothy instead of gay man. And this is it.
Okay, that was the video. And all the information there, I think is very useful for you to understand this topic, which by the way is not complicated. So the only thing that you have to remember are the expressions. The expressions and what words or which words or phrases has been substituted by the usage of those euphemism expressions. In your books, in your workbook, you have some more exercises to practice. Let me show you what page is it on. It's on page 46. Page 46 in your workbooks. '46 and 47. But let's read the examples or the instructions for exercise 1 and exercise 2 on page 46. Well, good for you that you are at home. You have access to dictionaries, encyclopedias, and definitely the internet, which is all in ones. You have to find the meaning of the following euphemisms and write a brief definition of each one of them in the line provided here, in the space provided here. Forlong, pass on, 6 feet under, visit the ladies' room, etc. Friendly fire. Then in exercise 2, you have to take the euphemisms that you have looked up, the ones in exercise 1, and what are you going to do with them? Write a sentence for each word using the euphemism that is in the correct context. So you can do this in 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, you will able to look up and write the meanings. And then we're gonna see how much time you need for the sentences as well. Keep on working, please. So then I think that it's time for you to complete exercise 2. Use these euphemisms to write complete sentences. Try to use the correct context according to the meaning that you have looked up. Here, you can use the same 7 of them to write complete answers, like you said in the previous exercise in number 2. Okay, we're gonna stop the class here. Thank you very much, guys, for your participation. Well, this day you didn't talk that much, but you were there working, I expected. So thank you and see you Friday with the instructions for the listening quiz. See you. Bye-bye.
See you, teacher.